Shaman, Mikasu, Hipapli, Shapopo, Shabizi. Oh, it was fire!
Well, let's get on to probably who should be people's team of the tournament. The back-to-back champions, Ireland. Ireland v Scotland, I think a closer scoreline than quite a few of us anticipated. But did they ever really look like losing that?
I think it was in the balance there for a while, but then they got on top. Definitely in the second half, they got on top. Scotland were very physical and good in defence. I was very impressed. I mean,
finally,
I was texting you, and I really think teams are starting to figure Ireland's attack out now. And the blueprint was done by New Zealand in the World Cup. Yep. How passive so if you don't go up to the line to meet them, all those different patterns that they're playing behind the fly half, it doesn't matter because they're not creating space because you're just still holding the line. Just hold the line. At one stage, I was watching the Scottish defence. They were actually moving backwards. I mean, how often do you see that? It's not very often you see that the defensive line moves backwards as a line to let the team come onto them. And because of that, the Irish, they had to carry the ball to the line and got rid of their depth. So I think teams are really starting to figure them out. I personally, if I look at this whole tournament and I look at Ireland, they played some very good games where they absolutely demolished a few teams. And then when they've been challenged, so that's why lost to England and then Scotland gave them a good go. They didn't look like they dealt with being under heavy pressure very well. And that could potentially be off the back of Leinster don't get challenged much. Hey, they just run rampant. And then when it comes to a quarter or a semi-final and they're really under pressure, they buckle. And I think the Irish team might fall to that same situation. Do they need to play more pressure games more often to get better at it? Because for me, they seem to fall off when that happens. So, I've said to you before, South Africa going in against those really tough games, to me, would have sharpened them. You thought, fatigue is an issue. I think that'll sharpen them. But they were also under a lot of pressure and they dealt with it better. I think Ireland's Achilles heel could be the fact that they rest half the Leinster team half the year through. Johnny Sexton hadn't been under much pressure. They'd cruised through everything, demolished everybody, 36-match winning streak. When you put under serious amount of pressure, they couldn't get over that hurdle. They need to start thinking about how they can mentally and during games win those that are very tight. Against England, what happened? They buckled in the last minute. It's just things like that. Although this week they didn't, they were very much more clever in the way they closed that game out in the last couple of minutes. So look, it might be a wild kind of thought, but I really think there's something in there about them not playing enough heavily pressurized matches, and they don't seem to be able to get out from underneath it in the really critical moments. And if you see where they come from in the broader context of their, Leinster and Munster's a little bit different, but Leinster they thump teams by 30, 40 points. What do you think?
I do agree with you. It's been brought up before as well.
Okay.
That's half the problem, isn't it? Because they've got so much depth, they can put out a second and third team and still pump teams in the UFC.
Yeah.
That when it comes to playing that first team, we've seen it. We've seen the Bulls go to Leinster and turn them over. And Munster last year.
For me, Ireland haven't improved.
Oh well, since since the World Cup.
No, they haven't improved. That team that played South Africa in the World Cup would beat any version of Ireland played in the Six Nations. They have not improved, in my view.
It's hard to tell because of the opposition. And, at first when we saw the France game, we thought, they've kicked on from the World Cup. But then you see France in a different light. France have been struggling up until late and conceding barrel loads of points. each game. So it's very hard to gauge it. Although there hasn't been a big drop off. They've done enough to win the
Yeah, I mean,
win the Six Nations. They're a world class team, aren't they?
Oh, they are. They absolutely are. But they need a few new tricks.
Well,
their game needs to evolve.
Well, there was a lack of trick at the weekend when they relied on a Scotland 5-metre scrum. It was a lovely throw, wasn't it, from the Scottish hooker to was it Sheehan, who went beautiful, uncontested.
Yeah. I mean, and that was the difference in the end. And it was if you think about it that way, why you would throw to the back of a line out on your
own 5.
That is so naive. And then also Scotland, I mean, Duan van der Merwe just, he can't get going in these games sometimes. He just, maybe he gets targeted now, maybe he gets a lot of attention and he just gets taken.
Performed against a top team.
Well, England.
Come on, we saw England's performance at Scotland. It was a farce. But I mean, I haven't looked at him that close. Obviously, you haven't seen him play close enough. But has he ever actually performed against an Ireland, a Springboks, British and Irish Lions? He played for those, or a New Zealand, or
I don't know.
France. I'm not sure if he has.
I'll have to have a look.
And he tries to do too much, I think.
Yeah, he does feel like they're. I think because he does score some wonder tries, doesn't he? And then he kind of thinks, so he tries to do it again. And I understand why he does that. Look, Scotland, that new centre of theirs I really liked as well. The guy that's come up from the under-20s that was in place of Tuipulotu. Wow, he looks like a good player. And Hugh Jones, they've got some really good players. But the thing is, Scotland are just what they've always been. They've we're brave and we tried really hard, but we didn't win. And if they don't win now, when are they going to win? It's just like very much more of the same.
Do you know what, Andrew? And I thought, I think I messaged you saying they're coming across as their own worst enemy. Yeah, defensively they're very good here, but we've just mentioned that try. Thrown to the back on your own 5-metre line. And Finn Russell wasn't good. He was not good at the weekend. Finn Russell.
Yeah, he was average. And he needed to be on. The commentator kept on saying it. It was Gavin Hastings. Kept saying, we need Finn to be on today. We need Finn to be on. But Scotland's defence kept them in there. So it shows you they've got it. They've got a lot of it. But to consistently put it together where Finn's firing and their forwards can man up and their backline's going well, they just show that they frustrate me. I mean, it must be difficult to be a Scottish fan because you literally can get two teams that pitch up on the day. And when they do, they world class. But when they don't, they're very frustrating.
Yeah, and when the Scotland backs are in full flow, it's extremely exciting to watch, isn't it? They'll take anybody apart. Well, let's see what the voice from the Cape made of the game.
Now turning to Scotland and Ireland, I'm going to be controversial here when I say I thought Scotland were the better team on the day. Even though they lost, for me they showed yet again the brave Scot. But we've seen this before. We've seen this before on many, many occasions. I'm going to focus this sort of synopsis of this game on Scotland more than I do of Ireland. But Scotland showed a lot of impetus in the first half of the game. I thought they were very, very in it. But discussions with myself and Elmer during the course of this game, and we've come to the same conclusions. Is it the same old Scotland again? We're going to play 60, 70 minutes of rugby and then lose the game in the last 10 minutes. And lo and behold, look what happened. They ran out of puff in the fourth quarter of the game, from 60 minutes to 80 minutes. And yet again, same old Scotland, running out of steam. When the yellow card came, I thought they looked defeated. I think a lot of the mental strength of Scotland, which is quite strong. I mean, look at their performances against England. They did really, really well 2 years in a row now. But I still think there is something lacking in that Scotland team. And with Finn Russell playing really, really well, I thought they had a go. I thought they had a chance. But after 60 minutes, after the first try that Ireland scored in the second half, I thought, here we go again. Same old, same old. Nothing new from Scotland. A lot of heart, but that doesn't always win you games. Now, moving on to Ireland. Ireland looked exactly like Ireland should. Well coached, well drilled, very, very disciplined in what they were looking to achieve and execute on the field. They did so, but I think they look the same. There's nothing different to what they're doing. I think the little Crowley guy played okay, but again, he was allowed to play well and has not been tested yet. I'm waiting to see when he comes up against a defensive line that are actually going to hammer the shit out of him, just to see how he copes under the pressure. He's a very good looking player. He can play, but I still feel he has not been tested yet. Result for Ireland expected. I think they got pushed quite far in this game. They got pushed for about 68 minutes. And then, yeah, same old, same old. So from me, well done to Ireland. Congratulations on their win. And well-deserved winners of the Six Nations. They were the best team. Let's be honest here.
The clock, my hand, now look on your arm. Marks, my pinky. I can't put direct. Well, I can look on your arm. Martin Apollo, direct my pinky. Orange the man. Les Cassous, Hip Hop League, Champopo, Champisi. Oh, it was fire.